I just read a study showing that people are 76% more likely to believe an expert who wears glasses. The study would be fascinating if it actually existed. Did you believe me there for a second? And if you did, why did you? We get tricked every day by people who sound authoritative or look like they know what they're talking about. And what I find most interesting is that there's a historical figure who embodies this perfectly. His name? The Charlatan. The word first appears in 16th century Italy. Most modern linguists believe the word charlatano combines two words, charlare, meaning to blabber, and cerratano, a person from Cerreto di Spoleto, a town in Umbria, whose people were famous for traveling around Italy selling dubious medical remedies. From there, we fast forward to 17th century France, which, like most of Renaissance Europe, had a lively street performance culture, where traveling healers drew crowds with jokes, music, and acrobatics, before selling things like potions, tonics, ointments, and miracle cures. So the word charlatan broadens to mean someone who pretends to have knowledge, skills, or powers they do not actually possess, especially in medicine, healing, or other expert domains. It carries the sense of deception for personal gain, often using persuasion, showmanship, or trickery. One such quack doctor was Tabarin, who wasn't a doctor in any real sense. He was the archetype of the charlatan performer. Witty, theatrical, outrageous, and persuasive. Tabarin famously wore flamboyant clothing, feathers, ribbons, and a large dramatic exaggerated hat, designed to draw crowds and satirize learned professionals. Yeah, in early modern Europe, doctors, lawyers, and scholars often wore distinctive hats denoting status, something like visual credentials. And Tabarin's oversized hat mocked formal authority, especially physicians. Oh, one super fun detail. Tabarin popularized something called chapography, a performance art in which a single flexible hat ring is twisted, folded, or shaped into dozens of different hats, each representing a different character or profession. Performers flip through a series of characters at high speed: a musketeer's hat, a peasant's cap, a pirate hat, and so on. This was done to impersonate and mock various experts and authority figures, keep the crowd laughing while selling questionable remedies. Basically, this was considered a form of art, convincing people you're something you're not, using performance, costume, and charm. Tabarin used hats to mock the idea that you could become anything just by putting on the right costume. This practice influenced both French and English theater. His style fed into commedia dell'arte, French farce, and English restoration comedy. This exact figure appears again and again in Molière, where charlatan doctors speak nonsense Latin, bluff their way through diagnosis, and rely on theatrical authority rather than real knowledge. This theatrical tradition mocked people who pretended to be smarter, more worldly, more educated, holier, richer, and more specialized. The most powerful symbol of charlatanism in the modern world is the infamous snake oil. Real snake oil existed, and it actually worked. In the 1800s, Chinese railroad workers in the United States used oil from the Chinese water snake as a topical treatment for joint pain and inflammation. As Americans saw workers using snake oil, many entrepreneurs tried to copy the product. The problem was that the Chinese water snake didn't exist in North America. So what did Western sellers do? They improvised. The most famous brand of snake oil was Clark Stanley's snake oil, for which Stanley was fined, and the phrase snake oil salesman became synonymous with fraudulent cure sellers. This marks the point where snake oil becomes a key part of the American charlatan tradition. Essentially, snake oil is the ultimate charlatan symbol because it blends several powerful ideas: showmanship and hype, pseudoscientific marketing, exploitation of pain and hope, and regulatory failure. This then brings us to the final boss: modern capitalism. The perfect ecosystem for charlatanism. Capitalism rewards persuasion, and charlatans exploit persuasion. At its core, capitalism, as most of us know, depends on selling products, services, ideas, expertise, and identity. Before capitalism, the charlatan was a lone street performer, and capitalism turned this into an industry. Patent medicines, traveling medicine shows, miracle tonics, pseudoscientific technologies, self-help empires, pyramid schemes, influencer-driven wellness scams, commercialized spirituality, speculative investments, and so on and so on. Advertising transforms traditional charlatanism into corporate charlatanism. The moment modern advertising enters the picture in the late 19th, early 20th century, charlatanism shifts from street theater to mass persuasion through images, slogans, testimonials, and glamorous packaging. Capitalist marketing creates brand-driven deception, which is far more powerful than a single performer. Capitalism blurs the lines between value and hype. It often praises branding over quality, storytelling over substance, confidence over competence, novelty over proven results. And to give you some examples, charlatanism in a capitalist context can take the form of CEOs who sell a vision without delivering substance, tech founders who overpromise impossible innovations, financial schemes disguised as opportunities, lifestyle influencers selling unsustained claims, and marketing strategies based on fear or aspiration. There's a whole ecosystem of charlatanism out there, and if we want to make it out of the snake den alive, we have to be careful not to confuse a hat, a pair of gloves, a polished demeanor for real expertise. And if this rabbit hole tickled a few of your synapses, I released a song called Les Charlatans. You can find it on all streaming platforms. Well, this was all for today. Stay safe. And remember, truth may be hard to swallow, but peace cannot be built on an empty stomach.